Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to Just One More Giveaway, the first giveaway / review of 2021. I think the last giveaway I did was towards the beginning of December last year, so it's high time I spread a little bit of love. And what better love to spread than one of my favourite watch brands of all time, Casio, who have just launched a new collaboration in conjunction with Surf Lifesaving Australia. So this watch is Aussie as, mate. Now, free stuff equals sponsored video, and indeed this video is sponsored by TempoPrima.com. Tempo Prima are a brand new company based up in the Gold Coast, which has some of Australia's best surf beaches. This is David, the owner, walking his dog Zoe on, I assume, a Gold Coast beach. They're currently an authorised retailer of Casio G-Shocks, but they're looking to expand into regular Casios and other brands as the business goes. David has kindly sent me 2 of these watches, one for me, though I suspect it will end up on my father-in-law Tony's wrist. He is an avid surfer and this would suit him down to the ground, and one to give away to one of you lot. It's a fantastic watch. Not only does it have the classic square G-Shock proportions and looks, but it has a built-in moon phase indicator and tidal indicator. So if you're a surfer or a fisherman, or you just want to look like you've come straight off a Bondi rescue, this is the watch for you. Surf Lifesaving Australia has been around for over 100 years now. If you live in Australia or have visited here on holiday, you are, I'm sure, likely to have seen these bronzed Aussie men and women leaping into the water without a moment's hesitation or any concern for their own personal safety to rescue, well, it's usually tourists, frankly, that have got stuck in rips. They monitor 36,000 kilometres of coastline, over 12,000 beaches, and carry out 10,000 rescues each year. Now, most of them are volunteers. A good friend of mine, Tom, he volunteers at the Tamarama Beach in Sydney. So here's to you, Tom, and all the other Surf Lifesaver volunteers if you're watching. What do you have to do to win one for yourself? Carry on watching the video. So custom colours on the watch matching the Surf Lifesaving uniform, and a bit of custom packaging here as well, which is very nice, including, check that little tin. I always appreciate it when they do a little bit more for these collaborations, as they have clearly done in this case. Aussie list price for this one is $300. I noticed that the Tempo Prima price, I'm sure you saw it as well, is less than that, $225. Now this is the GLX5600 Surf Lifesaving Australia. Very nice that they carried that through to the model number as well. And here is the watch. I love a square G-Shock. I have repeatedly referred to this case shape as iconic and classic, a genuine design icon and a little piece of horological history. They have been making these square Gs pretty much unchanged since the early 1980s. Though obviously not this one, this is a brand new model. So dimension wise, classic square dimensions, 43 at its widest point, just under 12mm thick. Now lug to lug is a bit of a moot point here because of the integrated bracelet, but I measure it at 52. So that is the most foreboding of its dimensions. Certainly the weight is not a foreboding dimension, 53 grams. Now I compared this to my Solar G-Shock. It comes in identically in terms of the case dimensions. It's a little bit heavier though, about 4 or 5 grams heavier. I reckon that is because of this one has the premium stainless steel case back. Again, look at that, very nice. I've only seen that on some of the metal Gs. Great that they added that case back to this model also. And being a G-Shock, it has many of the features that you would come to expect from a Casio G-Shock, including 20 bar, 200 meters of water resistance, a 7-year battery life, so really this one is a bit of a set and forget. Perpetual calendar in here up to the year 2099, so you don't even have to adjust it on the last day of the month or for leap years. Have a look at the dial here. This gives you clues as to the features. Obviously we have an AM PM indicator, hours, minutes and ticking seconds. We have a day of the week, a month of the year and date of the month, but the top bar, that's really where the interest with this one lies. That's a tidal indicator and a moon indicator. I will come back to that. We have an electroluminescent backlight. If I press the top right hand button, I'll pop in a little bit of macro shot in my bathroom here. These electroluminescent backlights are fantastic, but they will obviously eat up the battery life if you're too trigger happy. Bottom right button cycles through 12 and 24-hour indicators. I always like keeping my Casios in a 12-hour mode with the AM PM, but I know that the European standard is for 24-hour time. Top left here is the adjust. I'll come come back to that. Bottom left cycles you through the modes. Now, the first mode is the tide and moon. I'll go through the regular features first and I'll come back to that one. Second press is world time. Like all of these Casio world timers, you can cycle through 50 odd world cities there. If you really want to know what the time is in Bangkok or Singapore or Hong Kong, you're sorted. One more push takes you into stopwatch mode. Now, one touch to start, one touch to stop, and one touch to reset. That's pretty much it. One more touch of the mode button will take you into timer. Again, 24-hour timer, potentially. Press the first button there and you start counting down from 24 hours. You can adjust that to count down from anything down from 1 second if you so choose. Again, stop and reset. One more button there and you're into alarms. Now, 3 alarms here. Alarm 1 has a snooze function and you're back to HT for home time. Let's have a look at that tidal indicator then. So, tide. If you press it once, it will show you what the tide is like at 6 a.m. on the current date in question. So at 6 a.m. this morning, we were almost up at the full tide. If you want to find out what the tide is going to be like at a certain time on a certain date, you then cycle through this button. So it was high tide at 7 a.m., high tide I'd imagine at 8, and then we're heading towards low tide at 9, heading towards even lower tide. That's the kind of lowest tide there at 1 p.m. this afternoon, and back up to where we are now, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. We're heading towards a high tide again, and so on. If you want to know what the tide is going to be like on another date, you press this button again and it takes you into the moon phase component. Now, the moon phase graphic is quite small and quite simple here, just 4 little LED segments there. If you want a better moon phase indicator, there are probably better Casios out there for you. 29-day cycle, so we're almost at the end of the 29-day cycle. There's pretty much no moon to be seen in the sky tonight, so that's why the indicator is all black. But similarly, if you want to cycle through what the moon is going to look like on a certain date, so tomorrow morning we're into a new cycle with half a moon. If I cycle through here, the 17th, 18th, 19th, if I want to know what the moon is going to look like on the 23rd, so we're at that 9.5, we're a third of the way through the cycle, and indeed we have most of a moon on display. Again, you can keep pressing this button to cycle through. You'll get a waxing, waning moon as displayed by those 4 little bars at the top. If you want to know what the tide is like on that given date, so this is now the 3rd of April, you press that button again and it tells you that at 6 a.m. on the 3rd of April it will be low tide, and again you can cycle through this to find out. If you fancy going for a surf at 10 a.m. on the 3rd of April, you're looking at a high-ish tide. So that roughly is how the tide and moon phase of this watch works. And that's what it looks like on wrist. I have owned many Square Gs and reviewed a bunch more on the channel. Again, this one is perfectly modifiable. If you really want to put one of those AliExpress titanium or aluminium cases on these ones to make it look like a full square metal G, you can do so. But I think this one you probably want to keep it stock standard with that glorious white with the red and the yellow. It wears maybe slightly cuff-like, this one, because of that long lug to lug, and this resin seems a little firmer, a little less flexible than the standard black one. Perhaps that's got to do with the white coloration and the white pigmentation, but at 53 grams you barely notice this one is on your wrist after a time. Now that set of colours certainly makes a bit of a statement. Perhaps you want to bring a bit of Bondi glamour to a wet Wednesday afternoon in Bognor Regis. I think it's going to look more appropriate in some circumstances than others, let's put it that way. But it is a watch that will last you a lifetime, even if you treat it really badly. That's kind of what they're for, G-Shocks. They love being beaten around. They're designed to be beaters. They're one of the few watches that I refer to as a beater without fear of offending them, because that's what they're meant for. Now, considering that the base model Casio Square, the DW5600, generally costs well north of 100 Aussie dollars, they're about 125 or 130 these days, I reckon this one at 225 offers pretty good value, especially considering the SLSA tie-in and that tide indicator and moon phase indicator as a bit of a bonus as well. So good value even if you're paying for it, but of course one of you isn't going to be paying a cent. So there you have it. What do you have to do to win yourself a fantastic Aussie G-Shock? Well, this is a subscriber giveaway. There's a bit of a clue there. If you're not already a subscriber of the channel, now is the time to hit the big subscribe button. If you're on Instagram, I'm sure Tempo Prima would really appreciate if you gave them a follow. I'll leave a link to the Instagram page in the description of the video. That's not a condition of entry though, because I appreciate not everyone has Instagram. I would imagine that most of you do have an email address though. So if you want want to win this watch, you need to subscribe to the Tempo Prima newsletter by filling in your details in the slot on their website. Again, I'll leave a link to that in the description of the video. Last thing you need to do is leave a comment on this video letting me know that you have fulfilled those criteria. I will pick a random comment in 2 weeks' time, I will pin it and I will cross-check it with David of Tempo Prima that they have indeed subscribed for the newsletter. If you are the lucky winner and you have fulfilled the criteria, I will post you a brand new Casio G-Shock Aussie SLSA Special Edition anywhere in the world. Now, you can have a box fresh one, or if you really want, I can take it down to Bondi Beach, throw it in the waves, rub it around in the sand, so at least your watch has been to Bondi, even if you haven't. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for entering the competition. Stay safe in the water, and I will see you all in a future video.